Kalispell, Montana, settled almost 100 years ago by the Great Northern Railroad Company. Its landscape still bears skeletons of its past. Life here still has a Western flavor. Rodeos, ranching, and strong morning coffee are local traditions. But in 1982, an eerie rumor spread across town that something and someone had mysteriously disappeared into a nearby lake.
We heard that the plane went down. And then shortly after that, we heard it was in the Bitterroot Lake. Why it went down, nobody knows.
Yeah. I thought it was an accident. He just couldn't get her out. He didn't leave her there on purpose.
They either had airplane trouble or they ditched the airplane because there were drug runners. They were hauling drugs in the airplane. But they never found any, to my knowledge.
Rumors in small towns spread like brush fires, but this rumor soon became reality.
Well, this is Corky.
Corky Derby, a deputy's assistant at the Flathead County Sheriff's Department, has spent 13 long years trying to unravel the mystery of that rumor. It began one August evening in 1982.
We got a phone call from the RCMP. They said that they'd been conducting an air search for the past 2 weeks for a missing plane.
Jerry Ambrozuk, the pilot of this aircraft, he and his girlfriend Diane Babcock had come to Penticton from the lower mainland Vancouver area to lay on the beach and just have a fun, sun-filled day.
18-year-old Diane Babcock had just graduated from high school. Her boyfriend, 19-year-old Jerry Ambrozuk, had decided to spend one of their last days together before she started college flying to a beach. Jerry, a newly licensed pilot, rented a plane for the day. But on their return, they disappeared. What started out to be a search for a missing plane and its occupants would soon turn out to be much more when the Royal Canadian Mounted Police received a strange phone call from a friend of Jerry Ambrozuk's.
They had received a phone call from a friend of the pilot, and that the pilot was alive and well and calling him in Vancouver from New York City. From the phone calls that Jerry made to his friend in Vancouver, it was established that he took the aircraft, filed the flight plan, and then deviated from that filed flight plan and on into the States and crash-landed the aircraft into Bitterroot Lake.
But the question on everyone's mind was, where is Diane Babcock? Only Jerry Ambrozuk would have the answers.
He kept calling his friend Tom. And at this point, we had the RCMP put a phone trace on Tom's phone. So from then on, we had transcripts of the telephone calls when he called.
In those transcripts, Jerry seems to show no remorse. I'll be famous. I'll write a book about it someday. I'm not gonna feel guilty. Based on these statements, investigators had reason to believe that this was no accident.
The search for this particular airplane started over a weekend. That Monday, I went out with our patrol division that was working the case with the RCMP that weekend, and Sergeant Walters showed me some articles that they found in a campfire that were burned, allegedly by the pilot of this particular airplane.
The only way to solve the mystery was to find the plane, so authorities brought in an underwater salvage team from Vancouver, Canada.
After some hours with the submersible down in the murky waters, they did recover the location of the aircraft. They filmed it on the bottom of the lake, and they located the body of Diane Babcock in the passenger seat of the aircraft, still strapped in her seat.
As the plane came out of the water, I think there was a real tense quiet fell over the crowd. I would say there may be 75 or 100 people in various locations where they could see this. It was a dramatic moment in a very hushed atmosphere, very quiet, very respectful, I might add. Particularly, I think, as the fuselage came out and we saw the hair along the side of the fuselage, realizing that in fact this was true, that there was a person in that aircraft.
searching for that plane, finding it, hoping against hope that she wasn't going to be in it dead, and yet hoping that she was, for the Babcock's sake, so we'd know what happened. And being there that day and seeing her was, it was a very, very emotional experience for me.
The discovery of Diane's body did reveal many things about the mystery of what happened that night. Based on evidence found at the lake and on what Ambrozuk said in his calls to his friend, authorities charged him with negligent homicide.
He stated on the telephone that he could not undo her seatbelt, and eventually the plane sank and he had to head for shore at that point and let the plane go down with her. When we checked the door, her door was free and working fine. We had no difficulty whatsoever removing her from the seat.
Why am I still interested in this case, and why have I kept it alive? I think Jerry had a plan, and I think Jerry had a purpose. I don't know why Diane was there, and I want to know. I want Jerry to come in and settle this for us. I want him to tell us what happened that day, what the plan was, what really happened to Diane. If it was an accident, fine, let's get it over with. If it was something other than an accident, let's settle that too. I think the Babcocks deserve better than this.
Kalispell is like any other small town. We have values, and we have a very important thing called responsibility. And we want justice to prevail within this case.
This 1980 photo is one of the only ones we have of Ambrozuk. We had it enhanced by computer to show him with a variety of looks. He speaks fluent Polish, and both of his ears are pierced. Ambrozuk has olive skin that tans easily. He's been mistaken for a Mexican national. He's used the alias Luis Gomez. He might be living his life south of the border, but he holds a Canadian pilot's license. Police believe he may be living in Western Canada. If you recognize Jerry Ambrozuk, you know what to do. Call us at 1-800-CRIME-TV. Diane Babcock's family has waited more than a decade for some closure. Your call could make the difference. When we come back, we'll tell you about a courageous little boy home alone who snagged a burglar in the act.